Thank you very much for joining us live today. Our Tuesday normal Banya chat. And I'll start off by introducing myself. I'm Nyasha Bochidzo and I'm founder of Banya. And I'm joined today with a former foster child who was looked after by one of our Banya carers. And really, I'm just going to be having a conversation with him about his story, his experience of being fostered. So, Tom, thank you very much for joining us. Could you tell us, can you just briefly just introduce yourself?
Hello, Nyasha. Thank you for having me. It's lovely to see you, and it's lovely to be here. Bit of a role reversal, I guess, since I
Yeah.
was interviewing you the other week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I grew up in foster care, as many children unfortunately do, and I was lucky enough to have Banya as one of my placement. I was placed with some Banya carers. So I started from the beginning. I was put on, from what I remember, I was put on child protection list when I was 2 years old. Then I went through, had many foster carers, not foster carers, many social workers visiting the house, trying to sort out my mum and dad because both of my parents were alcoholics. And my dad was violent and domestically abused my mum. Uh, I lived with them until I was 7 years old, unfortunately, and I saw a lot of this violence. And although they didn't physically abuse me or have any violence towards myself, it still did traumatize me and leave emotionally abuse me, and they did neglect me because of their alcoholism. Then when I was between 2 and 5, a lot of social workers came and tried to get things sorted and did try to help, but unfortunately this didn't, and I was taken into care. I say taken, but it's a bad thing, but it's actually a good thing. I was taken into care when I was 7 years old, and I was put into an emergency placement for, I think it was only 2 nights, with a lovely lady. And then from there, I was moved to another foster placement, and I lived with them short term for 2 months. And then after those 2 months, I actually lived with my auntie and my uncle for a year and a half, just over a year and a half. And but the problem we realized was that because my parents were very close with my family, they kept stressing my auntie out and harassing her and manipulating her. It wasn't any good. So I was moved out of the area for my own safety, to some lovely carers who I'm still living it now. So that was when I was 9. I was moved out of area, and I'm still living with them now. And we had like lots of bad times, but we've also had lots of good times. And honestly, I'm so happy that I'm still with them, and I'm so lucky to consider myself one of their kids still.
Yes. So could you tell us some of your high moments?
Oh, well, a lot of them have happened. Well, coming into care, it's very difficult, and during those times, like I consider these like I look at during the time they weren't very good moments, but I look back on them, and I see that those moments are actually changed like how I perceive things. So I'd say one of the best moments was, I would say, after about 3 or 4 months of living here, my foster dad sat me down in the room, and he brought my entire file on me, which is literally about that thick. And we went through everything from my parents, my mum's history, my dad's history, my history, and everything. And it was very, very hard and difficult to listen to. Looking back on it, I really, really thank him for doing that, because it really put into perspective what I went through and like what I needed to do in my life.
And then you continue staying with them, went to school, and what kind of support did they give you about school? And
they were amazing. My foster parents were amazing. Like, I always, considering what I went through at home, I always thought of school as like a safe haven. So I always studied really, really well. And I always seemed to get quite good grades. And they continued that. Like, they thought about putting me into the catchment school, but they actually tried to get me into another school, which they did very, very well. And I actually preferred the school that I went to, because they're worried about, because I have my disabilities and stuff. They took those into consideration. The school, there was lots and lots of talk and discussion between the school, the special needs department at the school, my foster carers, the social worker. Everyone was involved in seeing what needs I needed, and what was the best outcome for me. And thankfully I got that because of their support.
Well, that's just incredible too, because sometimes when you're in the fostering arena, your education sort of gets forgotten. You know what I mean? It's not prioritized. So that's very good that you got that support.
Yeah, they really did try and push for that. They realized that this is what having. The thing is, when you come into foster care, that you got to have something to just, like, everything is taken off. Everything just gets taken off, put off balance for a child, because, like, you're taking a child and away from everything that they know and everything that they love, and you're putting them in a situation, a different situation with brand new people who grew up with. It wasn't what it's supposed to be. It's not a normal relationship.
Yes.
Not a normal situation to grow up in. And for a child to understand that and comprehend that, you're basically taking everything that they know and telling them it's wrong. And for a child to have to basically rebuild everything who they are from that is it's very difficult. I mean, it'd be difficult for an adult. So you're asking it of a child is even more, and social workers, even through the difficult moments. It was difficult, but I definitely thank them all for it.
So again, it's almost, you know,
and like you said, that school does get forgotten about sometimes.
Yes. So in terms of you know, when you're,
you say that school gets forgotten about sometimes.
Yes, I definitely think that sometimes the school gets forgotten and your needs are not.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. Did you think, you know, when the social workers and special needs were, did you feel that you were in these meetings, your voice were being heard, your needs were being met? Hello? I'm going to unmute Heavens. Heavens.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh,
Sorry, terrible internet.
yes, I can hear you now. I was just saying that when you're
Right.
when you're in the care system, there's so many people involved around you, like the special needs, the teacher, this, your foster care. But I'm just wondering whether you felt your voice was being heard to meet your needs.
Yes. Yeah, that was one of the things that my foster parents were very good at. They listened to me, and they basically taught, because growing up, I wanted to make, you grow up and you want to make everyone happy. You want to make you want to feel what your parents want, and you want to make sure that you're doing what everyone wants you to do. But my foster parents made me realize that I need to do what's best for me, and I needed to speak out for what I wanted. And in meetings and stuff, I said what I wanted, and not everyone got what they wanted, but that was what I wanted, and that's what was taken always into consideration. And I was made to feel that my decision was the main voice that was heard. So
No,
no matter what people suggested, if I didn't want something, it wouldn't happen,
no.
because it was very, very well listened to and very taken aboard, and I felt like I was taken seriously and listened to.
No, that's just so lovely, because sometimes as a child in general,
Mm.
that's very, sometimes children don't get heard.
Yeah, yeah,
Because they're dismissed as if you are, you're just a child, we should never say.
yeah. Like a
What
lot.
your experience at school, growing up in a foster, did they ever be an issue where you thought you were different, or people didn't realize that you were, you know what I mean? How did you explain? Did you,
Yes,
sometimes
yes,
people like
yeah. I
like
think I know what you're trying to say.
yes.
Um, it was weird. It was different growing up in school as a foster child, because, like, I think that other kids, there were other children in foster care at the school as well,
Mm,
and they were also, like, some of the kids that were considered, like, known for getting in trouble, or having issues or something like that. And I remember one conversation I had with a group of kids, and we somehow got onto the topic of foster care, and I mentioned, oh, I'm in foster care, and they looked at me very, very confused and said, oh, we really didn't know that. You don't act like it.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, I was just very confused, because my jaw hit the floor. I was like, well, what do you expect me to act like? And I guess they were just making assumptions because of the other foster children, and
Yes,
it's not
yes,
necessarily true. I mean, even if these kids aren't necessarily, sorry, there's a fly, not necessarily being misbehaved, there's so much emotion going through them, they don't know how to cope with it sometimes,
mm-hmm. Yes,
and they need that
yeah,
support.
yeah.
Thankfully, most of the school that I went to was very good at understanding that, and my foster family were very good at understanding that,
Oh, that's
and they're
fantastic.
very accepting of that.
Yes. So the now you're now an adult, and
Yeah.
looking back on your whole experience, um, if there's another foster child with nine, or listening to this live video with their foster care or whatever, what would you say to them?
Tonight, if I had to look back and talk to my 9-year-old self,
Yes.
I would have to tell them that it's okay. Like, what you're going through is very, very difficult, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very, very challenging.
Mm-hmm.
But these people that are surrounding you, they only want the best for you. So just trust them and listen to them, because they want the best for you, and they care about you,
Mm-hmm.
and they love you.
Mm. Oh, that's just lovely.
I know.
That's just
And
fantastic.
like I said, foster care is from the age from the ages of 0 to 18. I'm 22 and I'm still living with my foster family because we have a bond. We have a relationship now. We are exactly that. We are a family. I can sit when I think of my mum and dad, I think of them because they taught me right from wrong. Okay, they love me and I know I can go to them if I need anything. And they didn't have to take me on after 18, but they did because like when you have a foster child, if you grow up, if a foster child grows up with you, you can't they become a member of the family, and
of course,
you know, and they will love you just as much as you love them.
That's just so important.
If you get that connection.
Yes, and you know, it's sort of like your safety net as well.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, some kids, they leave foster care and they have no one. They can't turn to their family. Social services can't really have much say in it anymore. And their foster family want to take on a different placement. So it's very, very difficult for a young person coming out of care, for any young person trying to take their first steps into the real world without the support of their family, of their parents.
Yeah, that's right. It's
struggle.
difficult anyway. It's just difficult
anyway. Yeah, my foster family, they've supported me every step of the way, and they've encouraged me and they've helped me, and even Banya themselves, like I grew up with Banya, so and now I work for Banya. I work with Banya, and I think that for my way, I think that I work for Banya because it's an amazing family. It's a family business. It feels like a family. It doesn't feel like one person is a leader, and everyone helps each other. Everyone looks out for each other, and it's my way of saying thank you for giving me such a good life.
Oh, that's lovely.
Helping me.
It's just a lovely story. To thank Banya.
Yeah.
And that's just incredible. And what a journey it's been for you. So yeah. I mean, if there's any potential carers listening to your story today, what are the 3 ingredients you think this, because someone might be listening, oh, could I be a foster carer? What do I need for me to, as a person, for me to be a foster carer? What are the top for you? I know there's a whole heap of lists, but what are the top 3 for you?
My top 3, if I could choose the traits of a foster carer, I would have to say you have to be an honesty. You have to be honest with them. You have to tell them the truth of what's going on and be able to explain it to them so that they know what's happening.
Okay.
I would definitely say you have to have a caring personality.
Definitely.
And a willingness to understand and listen to them.
Yes.
And also, you got to have a determination about you, or a stubbornness, whichever, or a stubbornness or a determination, because there will be tough times. I will say this openly, I was not the easiest foster child. I wasn't. But looking back on it, you have to be able to go through those tough times to strengthen your relationship with the foster child. And if you can go through those hard times, you'll have have a child that loves you just as much as you love them, and will be there for you as much as your own children.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really a good message, and you can't put resilience is really so important, that you have to go through life, any life, never mind being a foster care of,
Yeah.
whatever, has got
Yeah.
ups and downs, doesn't it? And you've got to be able to move through them.
Yeah.
And
Going through foster care, it is a very, very, it is a very, very tough time. And I think it makes you, as much as every child wants to grow up with their parents, some of them just won't. And life will always throw challenges at you. And as you said, going through foster care is just one of those challenges. And it does build your character, and it
Yeah,
makes you a stronger person, and it builds
yeah,
your resilience, and
yeah,
makes you rise to those challenges that life will throw at you.
yes, lovely. That it definitely. I mean, you as a foster child and the foster carers, you're building your characters as you go, so that you're gonna be ready out there in the wide world to face all the challenges which come up with living in the real world out there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I consider them I consider my foster parents my parents, and I mean I don't call them mum and dad, but I do consider them. Whenever I refer to mum and dad, I'm referring to them. And I know, even if when I leave when I leave and I get my own a place, um I know that if I need help, I can always call them, and I will always keep in contact with them. I'll come round, I'll visit them, check up on how they're doing,
Mm,
catch up, because as you would if you were their own mum and dad.
yes, yes. Yeah, definitely. This, I mean, you've been there for longer than you've been with your parents, actually.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
If you
Because you
look,
look and think, yes, I have. I've been living with my current foster family for uh 13 years.
yeah,
13 years.
yes,
Actually, well, 12, it's 13 on October 25th is the date that I moved in with this family. I
yes,
still remember the date.
yeah,
And so it will be 13 years then, and I
yeah,
live with my actual parents for 7 years.
yes,
Wow,
yeah.
that's
So,
crazy. But
yeah,
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 um, do it like I'm seeing that there's some questions in the
yes,
chat. So I'll answer those.
yes.
So, what kind of thoughts came into my head during the school meetings, and did I feel like my voice was heard? Yes. Yeah, I was during the meetings. Like, the thoughts that were in my head was worry, because I was hoping that I was doing well. I felt like a little bit. I did feel a little bit scrutinized, and but I think they were just like, they wanted to make sure that what they wanted to go into detail of what was going well and what was needed to support me in
Mm,
moving forward.
very, very good. Very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say to people who either label foster children or make assumptions that foster children are difficult? Foster children aren't children. All children have the potential to be difficult or challenging.
Yeah, all of them. Yes.
Okay, regardless, foster children or not. And it's just that foster children have been through traumatic events. I
Yeah.
mean, I was like, I personally, I saw my dad beating my mum. I saw lots of violence,
Mm,
and that scared me. And even to this day, I suffer from it. I say I have PTSD from it, post traumatic stress. I
mm,
have anxiety,
mm,
and and there's so much emotion that happens with a foster child. It's difficult for anyone going through those events,
mm, yes.
with
And
or any trauma.
it's definitely true. They've suffered a loss and separation and have witnessed things which children shouldn't witness
Exactly.
from
Yeah.
the age of 2. You know,
Yeah.
it's just horrendous.
Yeah.
And
I mean, and the children that come into care aren't like we discussed the other week. They aren't like, you know, just oh, it isn't just little things, it's major
Maybe.
neglect and abuse. And I was taken into care because I was in danger of risk of my life,
Mm-hmm.
because my dad being violent, I could have been hit.
Mm-hmm.
It may not have been on purpose, but I could have been, I could have been hit. I was neglected to the point where I was actually eating toothpaste because I couldn't, my mum couldn't get up to make a sandwich, get me something to eat.
Mm-hmm.
I was eating toothpaste and I was drinking from a tap.
That's
So,
awful.
you know, this isn't like little bits. So this
Mm-hmm.
is real severe trauma
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
cases of neglect.
Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, I look back on them now, and I'm like, and I realize how bad the situation is, and
Mm,
I've gotten through that, and look where I am now. I
mm,
think about, look where am now.
yes. It just shows your character, how resilient you are.
I would hope, I would hope so. I
Yeah.
would hope so.
Yeah.
Um,
To have survived that level of abuse,
yeah,
neglect. And there you are today to tell the story.
yeah. I mean, and I think it's a great. I mean, I don't like to brag about it, but I think it's a great story of, just shows like how you can even through the worst of times, you can get through it and things do get better.
Mm, yes.
um I'm seeing oh, that's a very good question in the chat.
Yes. So would you consider being a foster carer?
Would I consider being a foster carer myself? Oh, I have considered it in the past. I mean, I would. I look at the situation that some children in, and my heart aches. And you got to have the sympathy. You got to learn to be empathetic and sympathetic for
Mm,
these children to
mm,
understand what they've been through.
mm,
And I can definitely relate to what they've been through, and I want to help them. And that's my me joining Banya and try recruiting foster carers is my way of trying to help them.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm,
personally, would I consider being a foster carer myself?
mm-hmm.
I personally, I don't think that I would want to. I really would. But I don't. I think that with everything that I've been through, I don't think I'm the right person for the job. But that's my personal opinion on myself. I
Mm-hmm.
think that I would be a very good, like being able to understand them and being able to relate to them and talk
Yes,
to them
yes.
about what they've been through, and very understanding.
Mm.
Um,
So
but I think,
you have empathy for them. But do you
yes,
think that it's too near home for you?
yeah, that I think that's the reason why I couldn't be a foster carer, because
yeah,
as
yeah,
much as I would relate to them, it would open up my own
yeah,
um, trauma. And you
yeah.
know, I've healed from that. I mean, they say that time and patience heal all wounds.
Mm-hmm,
However, those wounds still have scars.
mm-hmm. Yes, you don't want to reopen them again. But with
No, no.
time, I mean, you're only young. With
Yep,
time,
that is true.
you might
I,
have a
I am only 22, and I think I am too young to be a foster carer at the moment.
no,
Uh,
at the moment, yes, yeah,
um, would I change my life later on? Um, maybe. I'm not saying no.
yeah.
Um, I'm not saying no. But we don't know what life has in store. I
Mm,
don't know what challenges life will bring me. I will face them and I will get through them, but I will consider it. I'm not saying I will. It's always a thought in my mind. Will
mm,
I be a foster carer?
yes,
Because I do want to help. I
yes.
do want to help people. I
Mm,
love helping people and seeing that I've helped them.
mm. No. Oh, that's a lovely, lovely place for us to end. And thank you again for your time. We've had quite a
Thank
few
you for
questions, and we continue the conversation. You're different, the one to watch, because I definitely think that you have got the empathy. You've lived the story. You don't need to be told. You know
no,
what I mean? So
sure.
it's very, and for you to remain so positive and wanting to help is just incredible.
Yeah,
And thank
yeah.
you very much for your
Thank
time.
you for having me.
Thank
Thank you for giving me to such matching me with such amazing foster carers. Thank you for um, taking me through, being with me on this journey from foster care to adult and carrying on that interview.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.